Hello everyone, this is TVC News at 12. We'll begin this hour in Lagos, where normalcy has reportedly been restored in the Mile 12 area following an early Friday unrest over the naira crunch. Commuters in some parts of the state were stranded after protests broke out over the lingering naira scarcity. According to reports, the protest started around the Ojota area of Lagos and spread to Maryland, Ketu, Mile 12 and some parts of Ikorodu. Some protesters were said to have attacked commuters and set bonfires on major roads. Videos on social media showed commuters and residents scampering for safety during the protests. Lagos Police spokesperson Benjamin Hundeyin, while confirming the incident, said police officers have been mobilized to the areas to restore peace. Mr. Hundeyin added that free movement of vehicles has been restored in the areas. We'll bring you more details when we have them. And still on the naira policy, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has faulted the decision of the federal government to disregard the Supreme Court order regarding the currency redesign policy. The Apex Court had last week given an order for the old 1,500 and 200 naira notes to remain legal tender, pending the determination of the case brought before it by some state governors. The Supreme Court on Wednesday reiterated its order and adjourned the matter till 22nd of February, while the federal government remained silent on the Supreme Court order. But in the nationwide broadcast on Thursday, President Muhammadu Buhari said he had instructed the Central Bank of Nigeria to reintroduce the old 200 naira notes until 10th April, while the old 500 and 1,000 naira notes are no longer legal tender. In his reaction, Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila said, though the president's directive was a step in the right direction, the federal government couldn't afford situations that suggest a wanton disregard for the rule of law. And staying with outcomes with a naira redesign policy, a federal high court sitting in Akure, Ondo State, has resolved to wait on the Supreme Court as it's adjourned hearing in a suit brought against the Central Bank of Nigeria by a group, the Social Rehabilitation Grace and Supportive Initiative. The group is challenging the CBN over the voiding of old 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes within a period considered too short. When the matter was mentioned, the trial judge, Honorable Justice T.B. Adegoke, said it was improper for our court to commence trial as the suit is similar to the one pending before the Supreme Court, which is the highest court of the land. Mentioning the case, counsel to the SRG, Ukpabi Owolabi, said the group had brought a motion on notice to amend its originating summons and also a second motion on notice for interlocutory injunction. But the counsel to the CBN, Presidere Adekile, countered that the motion is to amend the group motion was served at the wrong time. In our ruling, Justice Adegoke emphasized that the Supreme Court judgment must be waited for.
Way to go. Is it to push our tent with the Mr. President that a legal tender, which the Supreme Court has said it should continue to coexist, to go pari passu with the new one? Now, this President's speech is saying that only 200 naira note denomination can only be seen as a legal tender. Now, is President telling me to forgo the Supreme Court order, which gave me the privilege to still have opportunity to change my money or to even spending it?
The matter could not proceed. We filed an amendment yesterday and amending our originating process, and we served same on the defendant, respondent, that same yesterday. But by law, they are entitled to 48 hours to respond. So the application for amendment is not ripe.
Let's return to our coverage of the outbreak of violence in some parts of Lagos earlier this morning. The police public relations officer in Lagos, Benjamin Hundeyin, joins us live on the news at 12. Mr. Hundeyin, help us understand the details of what transpired earlier today, particularly in the Mile 12 area.
Well, we got reports that some people are fomenting trouble. Some people are making bonfires on the road, thereby obstructing traffic. And we swiftly deployed our men to that place and were able to clear the obstruction, and movement resumed immediately. Normalcy has been restored. Our men are still on the ground to continue to monitor and make sure that there's no further breakdown of law and order.
Some have reported that to be a clash between different cultist groups. Some say it's protest as regards the ongoing naira crunch. What does the police know about this?
Yes, we've heard all the different versions of what really caused it. That is going to be secondary for us. We've started looking into it. What was primary for us was to make sure that there was a return of normalcy to that place, and that we can confirm. And when we have information as to what exactly caused the problem, we'll let people know.
Two other areas are in the news, Mr. Odeyi. Ikorodu is trending, as well as Mowe inside en route Lagos along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. What more updates do you have about those areas?
Yes, I can confirm that we've deployed men to those areas too. I can also add that Ketu is in the news. Some people made attempts to attack some banks in Ekpe, particularly 3 banks in Ekpe, and we have deployed men there. And as I speak to you, in the convoy of the Commissioner of Police, we are out to have an on-the-spot assessment of what's actually going on. So I can confirm that we've deployed men to all of these places, and we are monitoring to ensure that there is no further breakdown of law and order.
Is this something the police can handle, or you are seeking collaboration with other security agencies?
Well, as it stands, we are not overwhelmed, but we have a very strong synergy with sister security agencies. So if the need arises for us to call for backup, Nigerians can rest assured that we'll get the backup. One thing is certain: there must be no breakdown of law and order in the city, in the state.
Well, we're staying with this development. We'll be back with you, Mr. Day, when you have more updates for us. Police Public Relations Officer, Lagos State Command, Benjamin Odeyi, thank you for talking to us on the news this hour. Meanwhile, the Association of Senior Staff of Banks, Insurance and Financial Institutions has lamented that more than 5 billion naira has now been lost, losses that have been recorded in the banking sector over the naira redesign crisis. President of the association, Olusoji Oluwole, made this known at the press briefing in Lagos to address the crisis arising from the naira redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Senior correspondent Sharon Ijaso reports.
The shortage of newly redesigned 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes released by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and subsequent withdrawal of the old ones from the circulation destabilized businesses and individuals across the country. Aggrieved citizens have continued to attack bank branches across the country, with recent reported cases in Oyo, Kwara, Ondo, Edo and Delta states. Reacting to these attacks on banks due to shortage of naira notes, the president of the Association of Senior Staff of Banks, Insurance and Financial Institutions, ASBIFI, Olusoji Oluwole, recounts the huge losses suffered in the sector, amounting to about 5 billion naira. Oluwole sympathized with his colleagues and employers in various banks whose branches were attacked, damaged or burnt, stating that violence will not solve the problem but worsen it.
It's very, very disheartening and painful that our members who have put in a lot of work and effort since last year to ensure that this policy succeeds, despite the challenges that we are faced with, are being traumatized physically and mentally based on the threats and the attacks that they have been going through.
He stated that the CBN is clear on the process for redeeming old naira notes, confirming that Nigerians with old 1,000 and 500 naira notes can redeem them at designated points, while stressing that the redemption does not mean getting the cash instantly. He advised Nigerians to start getting used to the cashless policy.
The sooner we go back to encouraging digital banking and ensuring that those locations that are forcing people to part with cash are called to order, the pressure will reduce, quite frankly. And those who need cash genuinely are the ones that will have cash and use those cash for the businesses that they need to.
President Muhammadu Buhari, in his nationwide address on Thursday morning, stated that he has given approval to the CBN that the old 200 naira notes be recirculated for 60 days from February 10th to April 10, 2023. while the 500 and 1,000 naira notes are no longer legal tender. Sharon Ija.